welcome back to Story Time. This is going to be our Father's Day story time, so it's all about dads today. So excited. A lot of people are dads. Dads are dads. Your granddad is a dad. If you have grandparents, they're dads. Your uncle might be a dad. Lots of people are dads, and so you probably have a lot of fathers in your life. And some people are father figures and are a lot like dads. So we want to celebrate those today, and I'm so happy that you wanted to join us. We've got some nice surprises for you today for our songs, and let's go ahead and get started. All right. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Okay, let's do our stretches. Ready? Reach up to the sky. Touch the ceiling. Touch the sky. Reach down and touch your toes. There you go. Touch those toes. Good job. Alright, reach side to side. Touch the walls. Touch this wall over here. Push, push, push. Right, this wall over here. Push, push, push. Good job. Can you push them at the same time? Push, push, push. Good job. Alright, let's be a helicopter. Ready? Ready to go faster? Woo! Good job. Let's be an airplane. Ready? Spread your wings. Be an airplane. Woo! Dodge the birds. Ooh! Ooh! Dodge those birds. Good job. Good job. Dodge those birds. Woo! Good job. All right. Let's be a rocket and go on the moon. Ready? Stop! Good job. All right, let's reach the moon. Reach the moon. Oh, it's way back there. It's back there. Reach, reach, reach. Good job. Good job. All right, let's go back down. Go back down to Earth. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. Crash landing. Oh no! Ah! Crash landing. Ah! Whew! We made it back safe. Good job. We always make it back safe, don't we? It's a good thing. Always make it back safe. Alright, what else did you do to get ready today? Did you wash your hands? Yeah? Did you wash your face? Yeah? Did you comb your hair? Did you brush your teeth? Did you eat some food? Did you put on your clothes? Yeah? And this is the way we wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands. This is the way we wash our hands early in the morning. This is the way we wash our face, wash our face, wash our face. This is the way we wash our face early in the morning. This is the way we brush our teeth, brush our teeth, brush our teeth. This is the way we brush our teeth early in the morning. This is the way we comb our hair, comb our hair, comb our hair. This is the way we comb our hair early in the morning. This is the way we put on our clothes, put on our clothes, put on our clothes. This is the way we put on our clothes early in the morning. This is the way we eat our food, eat our food, eat our food. This is the way we eat our food early in the morning. Good job. Okay, so we got a new little song to sing. We're going to sing it once through and see if you can sing it with me the next time. Okay, ready? Tell me, Daddy, is it true? Do you love me like I love you? Do you love me if I'm bad? Do you love me if I'm mad? Yes, my darling, I sure do. Now and always I love you. Being my father always embarrasses me. By Mir Shavil. All right. Down the street lives Mortimer Dune. His mother is a television reporter. Mortimer thinks the world of her. His father is a writer. He does nothing, only hammers away at the typewriter and embarrasses his son. At the pool, Mortimer's dad never drives to the deep end. He crawls around on all fours, wearing his wide-brimmed hat. Mr. Dune loves to play football, but he always runs the wrong way and helps the other team score. At PTA meetings, he snores in front of all the other moms and dads. In restaurants, he walks straight to the kitchen to peek into pots and pans. At the wedding of Aunt Lenore, he wore his favorite shorts. Worst of all, he gave his son that awful name, Mortimer. Mortimer's mother always gets up early, grabs her coffee, skims the paper, and says, "Honey, go wake up Dad. He'll take you to school. It's getting late." With a quick kiss bye and a toss of her hair, she is gone for the day. Mortimer's father likes to sleep at least until 8. Mortimer knows he'll be late for school again. Already he hears himself reciting the old line, "Sorry I'm late, my father did not wake up on time." Finally, at 8:15, with a squint and a yawn, Mortimer's father starts looking for his clothes, mumbling, "I'm sure I left everything right here, or perhaps over there." That's slightly more than Mortimer can bear. "I've told you 1,000 times," he groans. "Lay out your clothes before you go to bed." Every day, Mr. Dune takes Mortimer to school. On the way, he tells him stories he wrote the night before. Suddenly, on Main Street, he starts singing at the top of his lungs. Mortimer is so embarrassed. He doesn't know what to do. "Can't you sing softly?" he asks. Father ignores his plea and sings full blast. Passerby stare. Mortimer begs, "Stop singing, please, let me go, just drop me off right here." But his father takes him all the way to the door. "Now how about a kiss?" says Mr. Dune, bending down. Mortimer is upset. "I'm late, I can't," he says, "not now." Alas, it's no use, for his father persists. "And all the children here, if you won't give me a kiss, I'll just find another kid who will." "You won't believe how Dad behaves," complains Mortimer to his mom. "In front of all the children at school, he embarrasses me. It's not fair." With a smile, Mother says, "Well, what we can do, honey, your father loves kissing a lot, and besides, you have to learn to live with what you've got." The other day, Mr. Dune took Mortimer to the movies and let him invite 2 friends. When the movie got really scary, he covered his eyes, ducked his head, and whispered, "I can't watch them when they shoot each other. Tell me when it's over, please." Would you believe that's what he said? It was awful. Mortimer didn't know what to do. "Don't even ask what Dad did to me today," he said to his mom in tears. "Now everyone will say that my dad is a scaredy cat." Every night before he falls asleep, Mortimer lies in bed listening to the music from the radio and the clicking of his mother's heels. On the glistening bare floor, From out in the street, he hears a honking car. A cat squeals in the neighbor's yard. The kitchen, the freezer hums. There's another sound that keeps Mortimer awake, the pounding of the typewriter, as his father types stories deep into the night. Yesterday, Mortimer's teacher suggested that they have a party and invite the parents. The mothers could enter the baking contest, and the one who baked the loveliest cake won a prize. At home, Mortimer's mother said at once, "I'm too busy, honey. Here, take some money, go buy a cake, or better yet, talk it over with Dad." Mortimer's eyes filled with tears. His father winked. "Cheer up," he said merrily. "Everything will be all right. I'll go without typing tonight and whip up a cake that will win us first prize." All night long, Mr. Doone baked. He woke Mortimer at 7 to show him the cake. Mortimer felt sick. He rolled his eyes and thought to himself, "Why does my father always embarrass me?" In his hands, his dad held something that was the size and color of an automobile tire. On his head was perched a chef's white hat. He glanced in the mirror and smiled, and briskly said to Mortimer, "Up and at 'em. Let's go for it." On the table, the cakes were out of their boxes. All the fathers were sitting in the back, except for Mr. Doone, who was up front with all the mothers, and the wheel of the cake that looked quite obnoxious. Jane's mom bakes an apple strudel. Moody's mom bakes cupcakes with pink frosting. The flaky puffs that Pete's mom had brought were still hot from the oven. Mrs. Stroll had made a delicious chocolate roll. A frosted gingerbread tower stood proudly before Mrs. Mabel, but all eyes were on Mortimer's father's in his chef's white hat and his wheel of a cake that took up half the table. The teacher started sampling the goodies. You could hear her ooh and ah as she kept smacking her lips. At last, she came to Mr. Doone's cake, stopped in her tracks, stared at the wheel. Mortimer was mortified. "What an awful mess, oh dear!" "Allow me to cut you a slice, ma'am," Mortimer's father said politely, with a little bow. He barely touched the cake in a secret spot, and suddenly it was frosted with chocolate. Out of the middle popped 20 red strawberries as he gently tapped the sides. A gush of velvety filling spread throughout. He then flicked his finger at the top, and a sugar rose burst open, on a dollop of caramel cream. "Wow!" the kids cried. The parents were knocked flat, and the teacher asked Mortimer's father, "Where did you learn to do that?" He answered, "From my father. He was the very best baker in our town, sweet rolls and bread, and especially cakes. He never did anything else. You see, Brad's father was an officer. He wore a fancy uniform. Susie's father was a manager of a large hardware store. Tom's father was a carpenter, but my father was just a baker. I was so ashamed of his tall white hat that I used to hide it. My father understood and didn't mind at all." Mortimer felt happy, but also a little ashamed of himself. "Come on, my son," his father said. "Let's go now, but please hold my hand, for I'm afraid to walk home alone." The teacher smiled, and the children cheered, and so did all the moms and dads. And Mortimer, he stood on his tiptoes, hugged his father, and gave him a kiss. He wasn't embarrassed at all. The end. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Do you have a dad that sometimes embarrasses you? Yeah? Do you have a dad who does some really cool stuff? I bet you do. You might not know it right now, but I bet later you'll find out all the cool things that your dad does. Alright, let's get back into our singing time. Okay. So I've got a little bit of a surprise for you, okay? I started learning the ukulele, so I'm gonna do a really simple song for you today. It's the first one I've ever learned, alright? But it involves a dad, so I thought I would do it for you. So let's see. Try it out here. Alright. Just started to learn that. So it's neat to try new things and learn new instruments and new skills. It's fun and it just kind of expands your world. And so you never get bored. So I wanted to show you that today. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. Hush, little rooster with a cock-a-doodle-doo. Hush, little kitty with your mew, mew, mew. Hush, little doggy with your bow, wow, wow. Please don't move, Mrs. Cow. Hush, little rooster with your cock-a-doodle-doo. Hush, little kitty with your mew, mew, mew. Hush, little doggy with your bow, wow, wow. Please don't move, Mrs. Cow. Hush, little rooster with your cock-a-doodle-doo. Hush, little kitty with your mew, mew, mew. Hush, little doggy with your bow, wow, wow. Please don't move, Mrs. Cow. Because it's time for another story. You ready? Knock, knock. Who's there? Dewey? Dewey who? Do we want to read another story? Yes, we do. Alright. So our next story is called Jephthah's Father. Okay? The story is by Hugh Lewin. Jephthah's father. My father, said Jephthah, is as tall and as strong as a tree. When he lifts me up to hug me hello, it's like climbing to the very top of a blue gum. When he laughs, it's like poplars swaying in the wind. When he carries me across the river on his shoulders, it's like sitting on a baobab. The name of the tree, baobab. I'm sad sad when I think of him now, because he's not at home. I wish he were. He's in the city, working to make money for us. I had a fight with Obed when he said my father would never be back. But my mother said of course he would come home. Obed said all right, he was sorry. Once my father built us a hideout in the fallen willow at the weir. He fixed branches like stakes around the trunk and made walls. In the spring, we wound new willow shoots and bundles of reeds round the stakes to close up the walls. They made the hideout very snug. One day we found a wild sow had moved in and had her babies there. They ran off squeaking with their tails wiggling. In the summer, my father built us a raft out of logs. We spent the long hot days of the holidays sailing on the river, and only once got wet, when Obed fell off trying to catch his goat. When the trees began to turn brown in the autumn, we collected a basket of leaves, twigs, and logs, and invited the adults to a feast. My father made a fire. We cooked the meat on the ends of sticks and left potatoes in the coals to roast. We were allowed to stay up late that night, watching the logs split and sputter in the dark. My father carried me home on his back. I slept the whole way. Soon it will be spring again, Mother says. My father will come home then. I hope he does. Alright, and that's it. So in the story you might have noticed there are some words in this story that might be new to you. Blue gum trees, originally Australian eucalyptus trees, are common throughout southern Africa. They have long, elegant leaves and tall, very smooth trunks that shimmer blue-gray. The boab is a tropical African tree. Its huge, thick trunk and rather out-of-proportion branches make it look like an upside-down tree, with all its roots in the air. A weir is a small dam across a river. Nice, so we learned some new words and some about Africa as well as about dads and how hard they work for our families to provide us a nice home. So I really, really like that story. I hope you did too. I'm going to do one more thing. Okay, so we're going to come up with a game with Dad, okay? So you can either do one of two things. You can either go get your dad or a granddad or any dad that you have nearby. You know, if your dad's at work or something like that. Or you can get your mom. That's fine too. But I'm going to try and do this craft with Dad, this activity with Dad, okay? And so this is going to be your game with your dad, alright? It's going to be like a secret thing that you have that no one else has with your dad, okay? So you can do one of two things. You can either create the game and then share it with your dad as his Father's Day present, or you can come up with the game with him together. You can both create the game together. That would be so much fun, I bet. I'm going to give you some ideas, okay? So you can do an inside game. You can do like a new version of tic-tac-toe. Like instead of X's and O's, you can use blue M&Ms and green M&Ms, or pink Fruit Loops and yellow Fruit Loops, something like that. Or you can make a game with dice, come up with a game with dice, maybe whoever gets to 7 first gets to run a relay race, and then come back, and then they roll again and see how many times you can run that relay after rolling the dice. Or you can do like an outside game. So that could be an outside game too, dice or you can do it inside. It's all up to your imagination. Or you can do something with a ball. Like maybe you're trying to kick it back and forth and see how many times you can kick it back and forth. Or how many times you can kick it that way and see if your dad or you go get the ball and kick it back and how fast you can do that. Just tons of ways that you can come up with a new game with your dad or for your dad. So I'm going to give you those are some ideas that I might give you. I want to see what you come up with. Whether you do it with your dad or come up with it, maybe you can come up with a game with your mom and then share it with your dad later. That could be really fun. So I want to see what you come up with. Let me know. Shoot me a picture or a video of you playing the game. I want to see it. So put it down in the comments on our Facebook post or our YouTube video. And that would be so great. Or you can email me at katiedavis@ncccpl.lib.al.us. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week. All right, bye.